to the UIAAA Connection podcast. GoFan and VNN are proud to be the exclusive sponsor of the UIAAA Connection. Now a combined company, GoFan and VNN provide a seamless integration for digital ticketing and athletic websites. Direct your fans to one place for all your athletic events, communications, and tickets to home and away games. Thank you to GoFan and VNN for their exclusive sponsorship of the UIAAA Connection.
Welcome back to another edition of the UIAAA Connection. I'm your host, Mark Hutch Hunter. Today we have as our special guest, Justin Pitcher, Certified Athletic Administrator, the soon-to-be principal at Cottonwood High School in the Salt Lake Valley. Welcome to the podcast, Justin.
Thanks, Hutch.
Let's have you begin by sharing with our audience where you grew up, where you went to school, university, your first job, those types of things.
You bet. I started, I went to Bingham High School and was there for all 4 years of my high school career there. I ran cross country and track at Bingham High School, and we were lucky enough to take a state championship my freshman year. And then when I left, we were fifth in the nation, so that was pretty exciting. And to be able to watch that team later go on to take a national championship was a pretty cool experience with Jeff Arbogast. I grew up in Riverton, Utah. I've got three brothers, and two of which ran track as well, and one was a thrower in track. But so track and field's been something we really like in our family. I left Bingham High School, went to college, went to Southern Utah University, where I earned a Bachelor of Arts degree, became an English teacher there, met my wife there, and from there we went on to Las Vegas, Nevada, and started teaching English at Michael Callahan Middle School. Was given a track coaching job at the local high school, Las Vegas High School, and then transferred from Michael Callahan Middle School over to Las Vegas High School. Spent a couple of years there coaching and had some great successes, some kids that ran some state championship times, and that was really exciting. In that process of time, though, we had three children, and we had our daughter, and then 2 years later, we had twin boys, and my family and my wife's family were in Utah at the time, and so we moved back to Utah. And then shortly thereafter, moving back to Utah, I was teaching at Alta High School, coaching track and cross country at Alta High School, had great success there, loved it, and went on to earn a master's degree from Brigham Young University in educational leadership. In 2010, I went into an administrative internship. That's where I met Hutch for the first time, and gave me the beloved nickname of
Scooter.
There you go. I don't know where it came from, but that's what he called me, and it stuck. And while I was there for 1 year, learned a lot of great things, got involved with athletics, and learned from the side of administration with athletics. I went on to an elementary school for 2 years at Midvale Elementary, went to Brighton High School for 1 year, was called back down to the elementary world, was a principal for 4 years at East Midvale Elementary. The school went from a D grade to a B grade in a matter of those 4 years I was there. Super excited for the great growth that took place. And then I moved on to Brighton High School again. Been here for 7 years, and in that 7-year time, been over athletics at Brighton, learned about the NIAAA and UIAAA, got involved in that opportunity, and really absolutely love what we're doing in that regard. So I just finished a doctoral degree from the University of Utah, and really excited to be with you today, Hutch.
So does that mean I have to call you Dr. Scooter now?
Dr. Scooter, whatever you want. Justin,
It's
JP, it's all good.
Like now I have to call you Dr. Tommy, and now it's Dr. Scooter. That is awesome. I had no idea that you had a doctorate. So that is incredibly awesome. So tell me, I've got a couple of follow-up questions. The first is, how is it to be at Brighton, then leave and spend time in elementary school where you basically have no night activities, and then all of a sudden back to Brighton? Is that kind of weird, or how was that?
It was good. The time commitment was the same because at the elementary schools that I went to, they were Title I schools, and we had evening programs. And so I was there till 6 o'clock at night, most nights anyways. And the difference is sometimes when we have a football game that starts at 7, I get to go home for a minute and then come back, or something to that effect. But the time commitment's about the same, but really focusing on literacy and numeracy was important, right? And that's how we got kids to do so well. Coming back to high school, has been incredible though, because you take those great skills that you learn in those high need, high population schools to bring it back to your high school. And it's been an excellent opportunity. I've loved every minute of it.
That's awesome. Let me ask you to share with our audience some of the mentors and leaders you've had in your life, both early on and later, once you became an administrator, that have made a difference to you.
Oh, that's a tough question. In high school, my mentor was my track and cross country coach, Jeff Arbogast, one of the great coaches of all time in the state of Utah, across the nation. He's someone that when I became a coach, picked his brain quite a bit and tried to identify ways to be able to increase the ability to help our distance runners do well, our track and field runners and throwers and jumpers and everything. I mean, you kind of have to be a jack of all trades if you're a track coach and to be able to get the right people behind you. So Jeff Arbogast certainly is one of those mentors. I had an individual named James Madsen. He was a principal actually, who when I was in high school, we would cross country ski every weekend, and he would just check in on me, make sure I was doing all right, and we had a wonderful experience that way. I'd say my parents also are great mentors in many ways. They've always been one to say, whatever it is that you're going to do, like we'll support you in that, and they've always supported me in all my decisions to go forward. And then I would say the number one supporter and mentor I have is my wife. Obviously, I have a very supportive wife who knows the time commitments that are involved both here and in other obligations that I have, and she's always right there behind me to be able to encourage me to do better and be better, and couldn't do it without her. My children inspire me every day. My daughter's a D1 athlete, runs for Utah Tech. She's going to the WAC championship this in 2 weeks from now. She's going to run the 1500 and try to run another PR, and she's on track to do so. My boys were wrestlers in high school. I learned a lot about wrestling. They didn't want to run like their older sister. They said, "Dad, are you okay if we don't run?" And we said, "Sure, whatever it is you want to do, just get involved and do it 100%. Don't pretend." They said, "I think we want to wrestle." And they both had a chance to get into the state championship. One podiumed, one didn't, as a junior and a senior. And they went through some injuries and been able to help them in that regard. And then my youngest, she's a freshman in high school. She inspires me every day. She's a cheerleader. So she's super energetic. She's kind of salty at the same time. But she also runs track and field, and she's involved in golf the same season. Her coach has been wonderful, and she's just a delight to be with. And it reminds me why we do the work that we do in high schools, living it with my daughters and with my sons, and to be able to get involved in what they're doing. I would say that Jesus Christ, I know many of our listeners feel that way too. And I would tell you that's been a huge impact in my life as well, and to lead and to guide in what we do.
That is awesome. Thanks so much for sharing. I've got so many more follow-ups. The first, being the father of twins, because I am also the father of twins. My question to you is, boys identical or fraternal?
So we believe they're identical. We've never done the test. They're
Right.
mirrored. They're mirrored twins. So one lost this tooth, the other one lost this tooth, right? One grew this tooth in first, the other grew this one in first. So they're almost identical. The swirls on their head go the opposite directions. One's left-handed, one's right-handed. So mirrored, possibly identical, but we've never done the testing.
Oh, well, that is awesome. And,
Nothing better than being dad of a
I,
twin.
right. A question about Arbogast. So like if he still speaks from Bingham, you could hear his voice up where you work at Bright, because I'll tell you he has a booming voice. And so what was it like to run for him?
You know what? He really cared about his athletes. He wanted to win. He put down a championship opportunity for us, and if we chose to go along with him, he was all in on us, and that's what we needed from our coach. He created a training program that was involved. It wasn't just, go run lots of miles, but it was run lots of miles with lots of really high intensity workouts as well. Every workout we did was purposeful, and he would explain it. We'd have team meetings with him, and he would not only just tell us, "Hey, this is where we're at this week. This is what we're trying to accomplish this week. You're going to be racing over here. You're going to be racing in this race there. You're going to be the varsity. You're going to be the JV," whatever the situation might have been. But you could hear his voice no matter where you were, and he was really all in. And he wasn't just a coach for Bingham High School athletes. He was a coach for all athletes and all people in the state of Utah. He really mentored a lot of our coaches. I think there's probably 5 or 6 of my teammates that are still coaching in the state of Utah. They've all had great success, and teammates that are coaching outside the state of Utah. So when we go to big meets like the state cross country meet or state track meets or even national meets, it's fun to be able to reconnect with his I don't know if we call him posterity, but people that have come up through his coaching lineage, and it's
Sure.
been pretty awesome to be able to work with him.
Well, and so you talked about being a track coach, and I think we have even before you came to Jordan. I think we may have met when you were the track coach at Alta. Back when
That's
my
right.
son-in-law was not at Corner, but was at Jordan as an assistant. So that's um, what made you decide then to go from being a successful track coach at a successful high school at Alta into administration?
Had to take care of my family.
Yeah, I hear you.
It's always been my end goal to be able to go into administration and to be able to help support teachers and students. And that was just one more step in the right direction. It happened earlier than what I was anticipating. But again, my wife, she says, I think you ought to go try out some colleges and see which ones you want to go to. So I applied to certain universities, and the first one to accept me was BYU. I said, let's go, we're all in. And we finished that program and was coaching during that time frame. Had some phenomenal coaches that stepped up to allow me to be able to be gone at times. And our girls team, we started with 10 kids at Alta on the cross country team when I first started or so. And we almost had to start looking at two full buses of students to be able to go. There were 45 to 50 young women who chose to run it at Alta High School within that 4 year time that I was at Alta. And the idea of building programs, it matters, numbers matter. Our boys program, they took a state championship in 2008, I think it was. And then the girls, they never quite made it to the state championship level, but they were top four teams in those years, I think. So looking back, I'd had to know, but just great opportunity. I want to take care of kids, but it's all part of the big plan of
Sure.
where to go and looking at retirement, 40 years down the road from when we started education. So.
Let me ask you a little bit of a time management question. And I ask you this, well, I would think most of the listeners on our show don't know this. There was a time when you served as an LDS bishop on top of everything else you're doing in life, going to school, getting a doctorate, uh, life as an administrator in high school. Talk about how challenging that is and how you've got to really be good at time management to be successful.
Oh man, that's probably the hardest question I think any of us in athletic administration can answer. I think number one, we have to know where we need to be, and we need to know what our purpose is when we're at that opportunity. So whether I'm here as an assistant principal, whoever I'm with, I'm going to give 100% attention to the best of my ability. No matter where I am, that's where we get where we are, and that's where we give our attention to. If I'm at home doing other responsibilities, if I'm with my kids, I'm 100% with my kids. I try to put my phone down. I try to be right there with them, right? And when I'm doing my ecclesiastical things, I'm right there. The idea is to focus on what's in front of you, and everything else will take care of itself if we're really taking care of what we need to. We do have family councils where we sit and we meet and we say, what do you got this week? What's going on this week? What's going on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday? And my Google Calendar is full of every one of my kids' activities, my wife's activities, my school activities and responsibilities. So it looks like a rainbow of fruit flavors in that calendar. And so calendaring is huge in that regard. But I think number one is to be where you are 100% of the time. And if we are where we are, we're giving it our full attention. And when we do that, people know they care about you, and you build relationships with people. You also need to know who you can trust and rely upon, because there's times when you have to delegate. And in that delegation, it provides you a chance to be able to lift where you stand and do greater things. And that's how we balance. That's how we go forward. And sometimes things drop, and hopefully, if they do drop, we have someone there to help pick it up with us, and we pick it up and we take it. We own that we drop something sometimes, right? We have to take ownership of
Mhm.
those things. But time management is crucial, and being where you are supposed to be when you're supposed to be there is essential.
Well said. Thank you for that. Let me ask you now, change gears a little bit. You're a certified athletic administrator. Uh, an incredible amount of high school ADs or CAAs or CMAAs, but there's not a whole lot of assistant principals that are certified. I want you to talk about the path to become certified and why it's important, even as an assistant principal, to become certified in athletic administration.
As an assistant principal, I'm an administrator. I need to learn how to administrate. I am not perfect at every sport. My athletic directors are way better at what I do. But if I can step in and provide them any sort of relief and support in the process, then that's what I get to do and want to do. I get a chance to hire the coaches. I get a chance to meet with the coaches. I get a chance to train with coaches, but I needed to know what my responsibilities were in supporting an athletic director and NIAAA, UIAAA, getting those certifications that are available through those great organizations helped me to know what it is we're looking for to keep our athletes and students at the center of all the good things that we do, whether it's taking care of our fields, taking care of our stadiums, making sure our patrons, when they come, are receiving the best possible experience we can, teaching sportsmanship, teaching all those different aspects that come from the various classes that we provide. It's essential for me to know that information so that I can support, Garrett Wilson, who's our athletic director, is doing a phenomenal job in so many ways, especially being, just a couple of years into that role, to be able to
Mhm.
know how to support him in his growth and to be able to be there when he says, "Hey, Justin, I need help with this." I know what he's asking for and what he's looking for. The process has been great because I've made a lot of friends. I do feel like a little bit of a fish out of water when I attend the conferences because I am not an athletic director, but I'm an athletic administrator. And I know
Right.
that there's a difference in our roles and responsibilities, but the respect for those individuals that come and give so much of their time and effort and talent is essential. I want to rub shoulders with the best of the best. And I think Utah has some pretty phenomenal athletic administrators. They've been led by some phenomenal people as well. I mean, books have been published, and Rich Barton is one of those, Hutcher, one of those mentors.
Yeah.
And I mean, the list goes on, right? Everett Kilapolo, all those people who have given us so much great example of how to go forward. And I just want to be able to be with those. Andy Bowis is one of those. She's phenomenal. And I'd love to see more athletic directors that are women in this role. And if we can support that, that'd be pretty cool too. But I just think that the reason I chose to do it was I wanted to know what I can do to help support in my own school. And I feel like going through those classes have allowed me to be able to do so, qualified me to do so. And then when coaches need something, we can make sure what we're providing them is in line with what they need and what we can truly offer, because sometimes we want things that aren't appropriate and we have to let them know accordingly. So there's a lot that goes into athletic administration, and together the the principalships in our schools and the athletics in our schools and the activities in our schools. There's so many things that are pulling everybody's attention, but we have to be experts in certain areas so we can be able to help them. Being a CAA is one more step towards those goals that I have, and a CMA maybe in the future. And I think it's just good to be involved. I love the QPA that's coming on, the quality performance assessments that are really being pushed. I'd love to see every school in the state of Utah have that. I'd love to see every school in the state of the nation work towards that. And I think our athletic directors need to be led by people who have their CMAA, CAAs, know what is being provided. And I know a lot of our school districts are moving in that direction. We're not quite there yet, but it's just one more quality opportunity to be able to put high level educated individuals in front of those that need the help. And every coach, every athlete, every parent needs help.
That is some great insight. Thank you so much for sharing that. I'd like to clone you and get you into some of the districts where we don't have as much success with our ADs. Let me ask you a question. If I'm not mistaken, you were able to attend the national conference in Austin last December, weren't you?
Yeah, I did.
Is that your first national conference?
First national conference, hopefully not the
Or
last one.
okay, and so then give us your impressions being a first-time attendee at an NIAAA conference and the scope of it. And because I always say once we get someone to the national conference, we've got them hooked because they always want to go back. So, well, maybe their district won't send them, but they want to go back. But give us your impressions as attending your first conference in Austin.
I remember walking from my hotel to the conference center thinking, all right, I'm just a guy from Utah. I'm going to meet a few people along the way. I was impressed with the number of individuals there at the conference. It was bigger than I expected it to be. And I remember the first thing I saw was the clothing outlet store, and everyone's wearing
Yeah,
their clothing. And I thought, well, that's kind
yeah,
of cool. Get a sweatshirt or a t-shirt or something that says, hey, I'm part of this organization. I think the real impression though comes when you sit down in the classes though. and the quality of instruction that's provided. I mean, we all get the books beforehand and we can read through those books, but it's the anecdotal side pieces that come, the stories, the experiences that are being shared by these individuals who've been athletic directors. Maybe it's their first couple of years and they're just involved heavily, but some of the people that we met with, I mean, there was an NCAA guy there. There were individuals that were from all over different walks of life saying we want to be a part of this. NFHS was involved in that as well. And I just think that the individuals providing the training have done such a fine job over all 17 courses I've been a part of that I want to continue to take courses, be involved in it because I know that there's so much more to be had. And then to be able to lean over to somebody, I sat next to an individual from Ohio, I sat next to an individual from Indiana, I sat next to an individual from New York, an individual from Wyoming, and who were at these conferences in these classes, and we're talking about our issues. And though we have different issues, we have similar responses on how we would address those issues. And it's nice to be able to go shoulder to shoulder with somebody that knows what you're feeling and what you're going up against and what needs to be done. And so my first impression is it's a good conference. It's well put together. It's professional. There's a lot of people, probably too many breakout sessions. You can't attend them all, but you want to. And
Right.
but the collegiality that happens by being with these individuals has been really important to me. And you write their names in books and you write their addresses and emails and you start to correspond a little bit about some things, and it really helps. One of the things we've been corresponding on is about a leadership academy. What do we do with our student athletes to help them understand sportsmanship, to understand they're the leaders, to help build their resume, to be able to go on to college, whether it's through athletics and sport or not, right? So those are important. Prior to that conference, I met with individuals who are connected with Coach Beyond. Many of you are familiar with Coach Beyond, but we had a wonderful meeting with 5 different states that are already involved, and hope to see something like that continue to go forward to help beyond the X's and O's of coaching and to help our student athletes who are needing additional support with mental health and awareness, and coaches to be able to be aware, what do I do when this kid comes to me and says these bad things are happening? And sometimes our coaches aren't equipped. We need to equip them. I think these classes provide a way for me to be able to be strengthened in that ability to equip our coaches with the necessary things that they need to be a part of.
Thank you for sharing that, and hopefully we'll see what your new district says. Hopefully we'll be able to see you in Tampa if that works out for you.
I'm hoping.
Talk for a minute about. So you spend all that time as a coach in cross country and track. You got into administration. You've been over, and of course the AD has answered to you. And so, from your perspective, how has athletic administration changed since you first became an administrator up until now?
I think a lot of the role of athletic administrators to begin with was talking about athletic directors specifically. They were the guys that went and set up the field and took down the field and just made sure that the basic needs were met for coaches. That was my first impression. And then having been working this since 2010, obviously there's so much more that goes involved in the role of an athletic administrator, and things have evolved over time. And the things that athletic administrators are focusing on, from eligibility to, I mean, just take one of the courses, you'll get a whole list of many other things, right? We could go on and on and on, but to be an athletic administrator to support in that process, it takes more than one person. It takes more than one period a day. It takes more than it takes all of us to be able to lift. And so athletic administration is essential. It's changed from being, let's just set up the game, to let's make sure that all the nuances of everything that goes along with it are also cared for and taken care of. And it's leadership building, right? Good quality
Yes.
leaders build other leaders. So
Absolutely. Let me ask you this. What's one common myth about athletic administration, kind of goes in with what you just said, that you would like to debunk to the general public?
well, that we do more than just stand on the sideline and cheer on our kids, right? Right. And we're not every athletic administrator was a great athlete. Not every athletic administrator is trying to live their dream through their high school, teams. They're
Mhm.
trying to live the dream of supporting kids so they can live their dreams. I think that's really the myth that needs to be debunked, is that the reason we're here is to help support our kids. And the kids that go through our program, students go through our programs. Comprehensive high schools include activities and athletics. And our role is to make sure kids have the best possible opportunity to do well in the classroom first. And if they're involved on the playing surface or on the stage, they have to be qualified to be there both academically and athletically or through talent. And we get to develop that talent with our coaches by developing our coaches. So we do more than just stand on the side and say, hey, good job, way to go. We really do care about our kids. We care about schooling. We care about all these things.
What's the favorite part of your job, Justin?
I think the answer is probably unanimous. It's being able to walk down the hall when your student gives you a high five and you say, "Hey man, you just ran a 43.8. That's pretty awesome for the 300 hurdles, but you still fourth in the state. What are we going to do to get you first?" Right? That one-on-one connection that happens to the kids. Hey, that was an awesome touchdown that you just made, or I just saw you run that five flat for the first time. Like, what are you doing? Right? Like how you feeling? You got state championship meet coming up in 2 weeks. Those are the conversations that have happened this week. It's only Tuesday. That's what keeps you coming back.
Right.
That's what you love about it. When you get a kid that gets to go out and play for the first time on a varsity match and they come off the field feeling like, oh my gosh, I hope I did okay. And whether they did or didn't, they're always going to remember that varsity experience that they had. And whether they did that as a freshman, a sophomore, junior, or senior, doesn't matter. They're going to have an opportunity to be able to perform and to do well. And we get to celebrate that with them every single day in the hallways. There's always a high five to be given out. And that's what keeps you coming back.
Absolutely. We'll finish up with a couple of questions. The first being this. Justin, I need your two suggestions for a brand new AD, and they need to follow your suggestions in order to become a successful director of athletics. What would your two suggestions be?
One, over communicate. Over communication is essential. Being able to let our parents and our students and our coaches and our fans know what it is that's expected of them and what's wanted of them and what we can do with them when games are. Over communication would be the number one thing I think that I would say. And then I would say number two, I'm going to combine two different words. I want coaches that are caring, and I want coaches that focus on creating a sense of belonging and a culture of belonging in their programs. When kids feel like they're cared for and they belong, they do much better. And I would say as an athletic administrator, do all you can to help provide one, communication, but two, more importantly, is that kids need to know they belong and that they're cared for. And my coach is going to do what is right for me. That doesn't mean playtime, but that means what's right for me as an individual so that I can be successful going forward and learn and take all these wonderful things.
Great suggestions. Thanks so much for sharing. Couldn't have said that better myself. We'll finish with this. Justin, what question should I have asked you that I failed to ask you?
Ooh. I think the question I would ask you is what would you do with a program that you're trying to rebuild and get kids to come back to?
Okay, and that's a surprise, but I think I would go back to what you just mentioned to me. Cottonwood has had such great success, particularly in baseball in the past. There was a time a decade ago when they were power in football, and now the student population is busting a lot from the west side, so it's not, you don't get that same neighborhood feel. But I would go back to, they probably need more caring and they probably need more sense of belonging, because basically you've got the kids who you've got. So the question is, what are you going to do with them? And what do those kids want to do? What are they doing? Why aren't they in sports? Why have some of the programs possibly at Cottonwood lagged? And so my suggestion to you, for what it's worth, is to use your own words and to get better at letting those kids know that you care and you belong. So I don't know if that answered your question, but I think that's where I would start. I just think of you going to you've been at an elementary, an assistant principal at a high school, but being the boss now is different. And I think you're well aware of that. And I think you're excited and a little bit apprehensive, like I think we all would be. But it's your opportunity to put a stamp on that high school. And, 2 or 3 years from now, when Cottonwood has a little bit of a different reputation and they're a little bit on the rise, then they'll have you to thank for that. So,
Well, we're
does
hoping
that
for all
help?
those things. We're hoping for all those things to take place, and that's what we want to be able to do. And both in the classroom and on the playing surface, on the stage, everywhere we go. Everyone that that participates, we want them to have a great experience, and that's
Well, yeah.
that's where these
Let me
great
ask you
things
one
come.
more question that was not on my, and I wanted to ask this earlier. I didn't want to interrupt you. I want you because I had the opportunity to meet your daughter a couple of times when she was a junior and senior because my grandkids were running in the same region as Westlake where your daughter went. So give us another 15 or 20-second brag about your daughter and what a great track athlete she is.
Man, Michaela is a driven young lady. She started out at Southern Utah University for the first 3 years. Her first year, she ended up with a stress fracture and was in a boot for quite some time. So her second year, redshirt freshman, she came out and did some really good work. Her third year, she just transferred in December, and she's matching all of her PRs that she's ever run right now. We're looking for a big race in 2 weeks. She's a 1,500-meter specialist. She ran 800 in high school. And her 3,000 is looking really good right now, and I can't wait to see what she's doing. She's got more mileage going on right now with intensity and with a great purpose. Her coaches are 1,500-meter specialists, and it's starting to show the work that she's put in. She's averaging about 45 miles a week of true intense hardcore running, and she's holding on to that really well. It's more than she's ever had, but she's never felt better. She's stronger than she's ever been, and she's part of the student athletic council that they had at SUU. She wants to be a part of that at Utah Tech, and it's just a matter of time before she gets involved in that. She's going into coaching. She wants to work with some high caliber athletes in the future, but she's moved from athletic training as a major into sports conditioning and coaching, and she really wants to be able to impact the lives of young people and work with great things. She's doing really well in her classes, and right now, I think she just ran a number 2 time for Utah Tech of all time, behind her number 1, who set the number 1 record again just this last weekend. And looking forward to really good things to happen from her. She's a strong, tenacious young lady, and man, I just hope the best for her.
Good for you. You should be proud. And let me ask you one more question because my son-in-law, when he hears this, would harass me forever if I didn't ask you about what a great hire it was for you guys to hire Casey Satera and the great job he's done at football up there at Brighton. So talk for a minute about Casey.
Casey's an individual that came in with a lot of energy and a lot of support and a desire to help our kids be able to perform at the highest level they can possibly perform at. He's kind of a really good hype guy. He's a caring individual. Kids want to work for him. They want to perform for him. He knows the game well. He puts the right people around him to be able to make the right choices. And, we're not getting the phone calls saying, why'd you hire this guy? We're getting the phone calls on the other side saying, what can I do to have my kid play for this guy? And I know my kid
Sure.
needs to do better and be better. They're asking those questions. And these are kids in Boundary, and he's building the team primarily from those that live here. And that's a pretty cool experience. Brighton High School has a tradition of excellence in our football program. He honors that excellence. He goes back to, 15, 20, 30 years ago. He's able to talk with the coaches that have been here in the past. He still honors the kids that come by that were from the past. And he reminds our kids that are currently here that we do have a past, but it's the future we care about, and we're going to do what's right. And we're going to take care of things. Casey's the kind of guy that walks by the office and he says, I haven't seen you for a little bit. Want to stop by and make sure you're doing okay. He does that not only with me, but he does that with other people. So if a week goes by and Casey and I haven't seen each other, we know there's something's going on, and we're going to check in one another. Casey's been mentored by some phenomenal people. Eric Kerr is one of those. He played at the university level, and he's got the knowledge and know-how. He's got the trust of the community, and he's going to continue to have the trust of the community as he continues to create senses of belonging, as we've talked about, to be able to help our kids do well. And he knows the game well enough that in tough situations, I mean, we went through 3 quarterbacks last season before the state, the finals there, and we're on our 4th
Right.
quarterback. I mean, a lot of teams don't have 4 deep quarterbacks, but they figured out a way to be able to do well in that game. And though they didn't come off with the win that they wanted in that game, we were competitive and we had what we needed there because the team rallied around each other. So he expects high level of performance in the classroom from our kids. He doesn't want challenges outside of the school from our kids. And he makes it known that we're going to do those things. I mean, they go on hikes together, they do lift-a-thons together, they do all sorts of things that are just fun experiences for kids. That weight room is filled every single day, all day long, throughout the entire school year, with kids that just want to get bigger, faster, and stronger and perform well for a coach that expects them to perform well. How's that?
That's incredible. On that note, That wraps it up for this edition of the UIAAA Connection. Again, our special guest today has been Justin Pitcher, Certified Athletic Administrator, and by the time this airs, will be the principal at Cottonwood High School in the Salt Lake Valley. Justin, thank you so much for everything you've done for the high school kids and for the UIAAA, and thanks for being on the podcast.
Thanks, guys. Have a great day. We'll see you.
All right, for our listeners, we hope you tune in again next week for another edition of the UIAAA Connection.
Go Colts.